Time now to welcome in Mr. Burt Grossman to the main stage. Burt, former San Diego Charger, now one of the leading opinion makers of our time, and head coach of the San Diego Strike Force. Burt, welcome
Thank you for having me.
As fortune would have it,
yeah.
Friday's kind of your traditional tea time here at KUSI, and Kaepernick and Reed settle with the NFL. Terms not released. Sources around the situation saying the check could be as big as $50 to $80 million for Kaepernick alone. That would be seem to be, if that's accurate, which we don't know, that's an admission of guilt by the NFL, is it not?
I think so, absolutely. I think in the discovery phase, when they tried to get it thrown out of court and the judge let it go forward, I think that was kind of admission of guilt because he got to see the evidence. Going forward, the NFL has so much money. It's such a brand. It's just better to pay than to fight it.
But so that would mean that the 32 owners got together and said, hey, on email, or
I think they did.
Do you think they said, don't hire Colin Kaepernick?
I don't know if they...
How could it be that? There's no one that dumb.
Hey, look.
They're supposed to be the 32 wise men.
Have you seen Nate Peterman from the Buffalo Bills? If he's playing in the NFL and Kaepernick isn't, something happened.
All right, so then that's a lot of money to retire on. That's more money than Colin Kaepernick was ever going to make as an athlete at this point in his career.
And he's already moved on and branded himself as an activist and rebranded himself and recreated himself. So I don't even think he's interested in playing football anymore.
So then you took away my next question. He's done. We're not going to see him on the football field.
No, we won't see him on the football field anymore. And part of the settlement was probably he won't even try or talk about the football field anymore.
So do you think there are athletes saying, I wish I had been kneeling. I wish I had been part of the social justice movement because I could have gotten a big payday if I had just waited it out for a couple of years.
I think even more so when you go ahead in time. I think there's a lot of people who thought that with Martin Luther King, with the 68 Olympics, with all kinds of things that, in time showed it was right. Muhammad Ali, whatever it was. But I think there will be, and I think that'll be the standard going down the road.
My last question. The NFL is so free to make this problem go away. To me, it's a slap in the face to guys like Paul Lowe and Jim Otto and these guys who really could use the medical assistance.
Yeah.
And that's just the two names off the top of my head. And yet they're so stingy there.
Yeah, but they'll pay to keep their secrets safe. It's interesting. We talked about it before. You'll let Kareem Hunt, after a video comes out, sign, but you won't let a peaceful protest. Whether you agree with it or not, you won't let him back in the league. It's a bad look for them, I'd say, and a weird look.
All right, let's blow through a couple of other NFL topics. Steelers and Antonio Brown are supposedly going to get together. Can they kiss and make up?
No, absolutely not. And I think he's burned the bridge with Ben Roethlisberger so bad. I think on Twitter he brought up some of his past and some other things. In the locker room he's burned. In the town he's burned. I mean, he's pretty much burned the bridge.
All right, and then speaking of bridges burning, did the Browns burn a bridge by signing Kareem Hunt?
I think so. He did some things different. Ray Rice, when he was investigated, came out against the ownership, the general manager, and said they were incompetent, and there was all these other things, and he pretty much got blackballed also. But I don't get it. I don't get with the NFL. Like I said, you can get a penalty or you'll get suspended if you hit Tom Brady in a game, but you can hit a woman and you don't. I'll never get that, and I think the tone deaf that.
He's on the commissioner's exempt list. So
he will, but I mean, when you have a whole organization get together to ban, say, Kaepernick, but you have a whole organization that one takes a stand on domestic violence and the other doesn't, and they're not on the same page, you're always going to have trouble.
Fair point. Let's talk about your team, the Strike Force, as we now put it. Coaching change already. Todd Marinovich, who was on our air just a while back, he was going to be your quarterback coach. He is no longer your quarterback coach. What happened?
I thought it would be good for him when we hired him to get him back into football, and then within a couple of days I realized that most of his trauma and everything came from football, and I started looking back at his interviews. Whenever he would relapse and get out of rehab, he'd go back to football, and then automatically that was the cycle. That was the common denominator. So I thought, to be honest with you, I made the decision for him. I just thought it'd be better for his personal life. He concentrated on art and stayed away from the source of his trauma.
All right, you have an opinion or two on the AAF, the league that is competing for your entertainment dollars.
No, we're different.
Well, same dollars you're going after. The consensus was it looks like football, which is, I think the reviews are positive. What do you say?
It does, and I think a lot of people said that from the Fleet quarterback getting hit. The interesting part is it's supposed to be part of the NFL, and we're supposed to be making the sport safer from youth to high school to everything else. But if you put a product out there that you're endorsing and you're letting them use the old rules that damaged everybody, what are you really doing? And that's the message I got from. Don't get me wrong, entertainment-wise, it was great, but at what cost?
Says the coach who now plays in a sport where you can throw a person over the boards.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're.
I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not.
All right. Matt Kuchar got in trouble for a tip as it related to his caddy. He well, it reminded us of this, and then we'll go to you.
This is for you. You tell Ty Webb I'm gunning for him. If he's as good as he says he is, he's got to play me to prove it.
Okay, I will, sir.
Good boy.
Thank you.
Good boy.
Thank you.
Judge Schmel's notoriously bad tipper. Kuchar won a tournament in November. He had prearranged a caddy, a rent-a-caddy for $5,000.
Yeah.
Wins the tournament, gave the caddy his $5,000. The caddy was saying, "Hey, what's a little something for the effort?"
He did. Well, the original agreement was $4,000. He gave him an extra $1,000 for that. That's what he gave him for winning $1.3 million. Not the 10%, but just another $1,000. You know, image-wise, he had the image that kind of shattered. I mean, you have an opportunity like that. You're in Mexico. You can change a man's life with just the standard 10%, and you just balk at it.
So at least to complete the story, he has now written a check for $50,000. The common denominator is Steinberg, his attorney, who botched Tiger Woods. Maybe Mr. Steinberg is not the PR consultant that everyone thinks he is.
Obviously, he's not, because that was just a bad look.
All right, there's radio voices in D.C. saying Bryce Harper's made his decision known. What are the chances of the words San Diego rolling off his lips?
0, none whatsoever. I think it's Phillies. We talked about before. The Eagles are making this renaissance. The Sixers are, and they're in bad shape. The Phillies right now. They have to keep up. Oh, are you rushing me out?
Yes. Watch our Facebook Live interview. Burt really humiliated me. Tonight on the ASR, a bunch of stuff coming your way, including all that prep, girls basketball, plus Maddie Sinclair in the celebrity game. 5 p.m. newscast has ended. The 6 p.m. news starts right now.